Hello, my name is Stephen Townshend. I'm a site reliability engineer.
And my name is Gwen, and I'm also a site reliability engineer.
And we work for IAG, which is Australasia's largest general insurance provider. And our unique context is that we're part of a brand new SRE capability team. So our job is to enable SRE goodness throughout the organization. SRE and SLOs are pretty much completely foreign concepts to almost everyone at IAG, including us. So as we've gone through this journey, we've had to learn about what SLOs are and what their purpose is and how to apply them. IAG's context is that we have a lot of technical complexity and a big organization. There are teams with literally decades of history, of culture, of technical debt, of complexity. The question is, how do we take the ideas behind SLOs and the benefits of SLOs and break into those teams to embed them? I started by doing research. I read the Google SRE book cover to cover. I looked at blogs online. I was trying to find out, how do organizations around the world do SLOs and get value out of them? But it was incredibly frustrating. I was unable to see really good real-world examples or instructions on what to do. So that's when, as a team, we came up with the idea of a facilitated workshop. We would work with platform teams across the organization to together identify what those SLOs are. And we had some teams who were keen right away, so we were able to get started. I put together an initial draft workshop in Miro. So we're looking at Miro now. It is a tool which is a visual collaborative board. It is fantastic for running these kinds of interactive workshops. And this gigantic thing you see here was the first draft workshop that we went through. Now, I'm not going to go into the detail, but Gwen will cover some more later. But the basic flow was we would work with each team to understand the key customer groups, what the key services that they provided to each of those customer groups, to prioritize the services based on customer and business. Then we thought about the indicators which told us about reliability for each of those key services, and finally set SLOs, or specific objectives. Now that opened a whole can of worms. Chicken or the egg? SLOs or SLIs? Which one comes first? And we've actually changed our minds, and we now do objectives first before indicators. But this is how we started out, because this was what made sense at that time. We did the first workshop with a team who looks after a pretty large Kubernetes platform. And the discussions were great. I think we all got a clearer sense of their solution, their technology, their customers, their services. But we fell short in terms of the outcome we wanted. We did not end up with meaningful SLOs. There was a lot of confusion, a lot of awkward silences as we stumbled our way through this. The workshop was quite long, 3 one-hour sessions, and at the end of it, we still didn't get a lot of outcomes. I was mimicking what I thought we should be doing rather than thinking about the outcome in IAG's unique context. So we went back to the outcome. What is it all about? What are we trying to achieve? Ultimately, we wanted to bring a customer focus to the teams of IAG, to be able to set the level of service that we want to provide customers, to track it, to get feedback, to make better decisions. That's the outcome. And with that, Gwen, who had been embedded in a team doing operational work, came out and started to help me, and I'll pass over to her to continue what happened next.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. So as reflected, we found that there was a lot of confusion going through these workshops, and that the teams needed a lot more guidance than we had anticipated. It was clear that we really needed to try a different approach. We just didn't really know how. And at this stage, as Stephen mentioned, I'd been embedded in another team, so SLOs kind of still seemed worlds away for me. I took this opportunity to try and rework and simplify, and quickly discovered that the only way to really understand SLOs was to do them. So using the previous workshop as inspiration, I started fresh and tried to reduce a lot of the noise while also trying to rework a few sections. So I kept the identifying the customers part, but I split the identify services into 2 different sections. I'll show you what I mean down here on the Great Miro board. So you could either look at the customer journey for the customer-facing apps, where a linear journey is clear, Or you could use something like an integration map for the not so customer facing applications to highlight the service boundaries, those points where one or more components expose functionality to external customers. So ensuring that we maintain a customer focus, even for those applications that don't directly interact with them. So we took the top prioritized offering, for example, like a login service, and looked to answer reliability questions with relation to that service, using the 4 golden signals as a lens for the high-level objectives. This is kind of where we hit a wall, as we discovered through a trial that we did that these questions could not so easily be answered in the first session, like understanding uptime, error rate, and availability of the service. So after some discussions with our wider team, we realized that we really needed to split the workshop into 2. Here comes the second attempt. So the first half would be to understand the customers and the offerings, because we still believed that this was a fundamental step in maintaining a customer focus, but then to go away and actually work closely with the team to understand and analyze their current situation. We would look to collect data regarding current monitoring speeds, performance, outages, and so on. Again, using the 4 golden signals as a lens, but with more of a hands-on view on the service itself to enable us to collect that data. By doing this, we can really understand what reliability the team already has and where the gaps lie. So what are the objectives, what the key objectives are for this team and their technology. After this, the intention was to determine which indicators could be the most meaningful to measure against those objectives. As Stephen mentioned previously, we would look at SLIs and then SLOs, whereas here we'd try and define a high-level objective and then narrow down on the indicators. We even played with the idea of having some sort of template where we could plug in the high-level objectives and narrow down on a set of indicators to help guide the teams that didn't know where to start, but also with the intention to iterate on these later on to see how they go. So this all came from an idea to try and simplify and provide more guidance, but I'm not so sure that the end goal was achieved. What do you think, Stephen?
In terms of our real objective, which is to get that customer focus embedded into teams as part of their way of working, we completely failed. This theoretical SLO approach, first, it wasn't working within IAG's context. So we had to think about it. What would work within IAG's context? How can we get the ball rolling? So we've decided to pivot. So now instead of starting with a workshop, we're going to go into a team and take the time to benchmark their current reliability, find out where the gaps are in their observability, see what kinds of incidents they have and whether there's any patterns there. We think that that will be a better opening activity to begin the discussion around customer focus and to get the outcome that we're after. Was this workshop a waste of time? Absolutely not. For one, we'll probably reuse the same thing in the future, but it will be a follow-up activity in the future. But if we hadn't gone through the whole process, we would have never understood SLOs, their purpose, the outcome we were after, or IAG's context as well as we do now. So thank you for your attention. I hope you got something out of this and looking forward to the other sessions at SLOconf.